Not safe for work. People who post not safe for work pics on Reddit. Have you even been approached by a fan? If so, how did it go? Please consider subscribing if you enjoy the video. I used to regularly post in a few of the more maligned Gonyard subs. I've got a few tattoos that are rather distinguishable, and post in local R4R subs. Had a girl come into the shop I work in, chit-chat about how familiar I look etc, and after going down the list of maybe LinkedIn or this friend or that, she suddenly tenses up and leans into whisper, much more loudly than a whisper ought to be, "I think I've seen your nudes. Someone is posting them." Me. That someone is me. She hasn't been back. Years back, there was a stripper in town that I recognized from a Lil Wayne video. She was actually surprised that I knew that. Nice girl. Hope she's doing well. I used to post on Reddit and AskReddit. It was an overall good experience and helped me a lot with my low self-esteem. After about 6 months of posting, I got a text from my friend asking why I posted a nude of myself on my Instagram. I thought it was a bit weird considering I don't have an Insta. I then found out that someone had created a fake account using my real name and invited a bunch of my real-life friends and acquaintances to follow the account. Once they had a decent following, they started posting everything I ever posted on Reddit. They had also created a Snapchat account and simultaneously started sending out pictures on there. It was one of the worst days of my entire life. At the end of the day, I got a message from a random person on Reddit who claimed to be the person who did it. They gave me a list of everyone they sent stuff to and detailed exactly what content was sent to who. I asked them why they did it and their response was, "I don't know." So yeah, I don't post stuff like that anymore. This isn't exactly my story, but I feel this is the only place I can share this. There was a girl at my school who had a video that her boyfriend recorded of them having sex go pretty viral on Tumblr. Everyone knew then, but the couple didn't really seem to care. Fast forward to now. I shit you not, I still see this video if I browse peen. Not even looking, it's just all over. She has had to make a post about dudes from our school hitting her up, either trying to blackmail, or just frick her, because they assume she's easy. Moral of the story: put a bag on your head. I happened to meet someone who showed me a list of his 4 favorite not safe for work Tumblr blogs he followed. Mine was on the list. I am not sure if he actually recognized it was mine, and I didn't reveal the fact on my own. I had always really struggled with body image stuff and didn't want anyone to look at me for the most part. I found this app called Mobly, which was essentially Instagram for dong pics. I had lost a few pounds and decided to take a leap into the deep end and post a few things, since I got to control who could see my private pics through a request accept system. One was a photo of me in my underwear. Someone apparently stole that and posted it on Tumblr. I'm kind of a stocky, fat hairy guy with a beard, so I never imagined that happening. But I met someone at a party weeks later that recognized me from it. He told me he saw me there and I felt sick. I asked him if he remembered where, so he found the post and sent a link, and there I was, face and all, with the camera situated to put my junk all in the viewer's face. It had been reblogged like 700 times already, including by some magazines specific to guys like me apparently. I used to post not safe for work pics on Tumblr. About a year after I deleted it, some girls at work found the pictures and sent them to everyone at my work. I had to have a very awkward conversation with my manager. I posted a gif of my round man ass jiggling on Reddit about 8 years ago. It ended up being used in some peen ads, blissfully unaware it was a man ass. I used to sell my underwear, socks and stuff online during my college years. I hardly ever met with clients, but met this guy, let's call him Jim, a couple of times in a coffee shop to hand him a package. Because we lived in the same city. Super quick transaction. "Hi. Thanks. Have a good one." All was fine. Happened maybe 3-4 times. Always the same order. Fast forward to a couple years later, I was invited to a job interview, got there, met the CEO and we talked for a bit. Everything went great. I met a couple of other people and everyone seemed utterly lovely. At the end of the interview, CEO tells me to wait a bit, because he wants me to meet the head of my future department. Well, Jim walks in. I probably wouldn't have recognized him if he hadn't acted all weird and pretty much fled the room after like 30 seconds of awkward staring. I got a call later from him today. He apologized and said that he was looking forward to working with me. I ended up taking another offer. Still get texts from him from time to time asking if I'd still sell him stuff though. So, yeah, that was fun. A friend from high school, who I knew of, but didn't know, DM'd me on Facebook letting me know that there was a website dedicated to identifying GW girls. They had most of my pictures, my full name, my hometown, state, and college. That was like 5 years ago and I haven't posted to GW since. I owe her a lot. I stumbled across a girl I knew on GW. I only figured it out because some items went missing from our work, and later showed up in her pictures. I did not confront her about it. It felt creepy enough that I had figured it out, let alone asking her. I went on a date with someone from a dating site, and while at dinner he proceeds to tell me he recognized me from Gone Wild and that's why he wanted to go out with me. It was very awkward after that, and we didn't have a second date. It was kinda cute. I was at a coffee shop and she approached me, asking about the book I was reading. I could tell something else was on her mind. I expected some pyramid scheme pitch, but she casually asked if I posted on Reddit and if I was the username I used at the time. It threw me off guard, like my real life hit with this anonymous world, but she turned out to be super nice and we ended up dating for a few months. I think she had an abnormal amount of self-confidence and most people wouldn't approach. I used to post maybe 5 or 6 years ago. A friend of mine on Facebook warned me he'd come across my photos on a separate forum. People had taken them from Reddit and posted them on a forum dedicated to doxing women. They had my first and last name, and names of places, bars, etc. I commonly visited. I had to change up my entire life, because I was terrified of being murdered or raped. How people are able to recognize others like this is beyond me. I am barely able to remember most of my extended family. Same goes for people I knew from years ago in school or work. I just seem unable to match faces with people, personalities. I forget the name of the dating site, but it allowed people, women and men, to post nudes of themselves next to their vanilla pictures. One day I came across one woman, fairly attractive and close to my age, who had a couple of excellent nudes, but, for some reason, I didn't message her. A few weeks later I ran into her. She was a co-worker's sister. I used to take and post nudes in cosplay, full-on cosplay smut to satisfy people's fetishes and fantasies. It was fun and I got mildly known in certain niche fandoms, but since I'm not American I was sure nobody would know who I was in real life, until one day I went to a con wearing one of my latest cosplays and I ran into a group of cosplayers from the same series I was doing. One of the girls went, "Oh, you look like a guy I follow. He'd do nudes and stuff." Funny, right? Like fully thinking it was a coincidence. I later told them that yeah, that was me. Not in person, but lots of people from my hometown know and have messaged me saying they appreciate my pics, which is definitely code for saying they masturbated to them. I'm totally okay with it though. I mean, that's why I post. I was approached by a guy on Tinder. He sent me a link to my profile and asked if it was me. I said yes and he immediately started begging for a date. I said no and he started to get threatening. He was like 40 and I was 18. I didn't know I could restrict age and don't remember swiping him. I told him if he ever contacted me again I would go to the police and unmatched. Blocked him. The week before I finished college I saw him interviewing to be an IT support guy. I'm so glad I finished when I did. Not on Reddit, but a photographer I worked with posted my nude photos to their Tumblr. People I knew found them, reposted them to a website that was made for revenge-peen and identifying women in pictures. One person sent me a link to the forum. I, regretfully, read the comments. People are mean. Also, I didn't mind the photographer posting them. I signed a contract stating any photo could be published. I wasn't uncomfortable with that. I was uncomfortable with people I went to high school with reposting them with my name and information. I had met and hooked up with a girl from Tinder who later asked me if I was so-and-so on Reddit. Apparently she had been following me 4 months before and put it together after the fact. Moral of the story: never post anything online that you don't want the people in your life to see. Even if you delete it, you really don't. I sold my used yoga pants to the fan. People who post not safe for work pics on Reddit, please comment on this so I can have new spank material. I don't post my face in my pics, because I don't want to be recognized. I have had some people randomly message me on Reddit asking if I was their ex-girlfriend or a girl they once knew. One guy from Australia literally argued with me about it, insisting I was his ex. Haha, I've never been to Australia and I've never dated an Australian guy but maybe I have an Australian doppelganger. I posted a fully clothed weight loss photo and was inundated with requests to join not safe for work subs and post nudes. Reddit be thirsty. Pre-Reddit. Young, naive and newly married. Posted nude pics of the then wife on Usenet under all twin pictures something. Some fat old guy photoshopped himself into the pictures and posted back. Obviously spent some time on it with posing and 3D positioning. Wife thought it was hilarious. I had a guy ask for a pic with me at a cosplay convention once. Not at all uncommon if you're cosplaying. He said he was a huge fan and ran off. It didn't hit me till like a day later that he maybe wasn't talking about the character I was cosplaying. Haha. Oh, and a tip for anyone who recognizes a poster: don't scream their username at them in a crowded public spot. Hasn't happened to me, but I can't imagine how uncomfortable that would be for everyone involved. I don't understand Reddit's algorithm sometimes. This post an hour old with only circa 5 comments is on the front page. Yes, actually. It was this past New Year's. I ended up at a punk bar in my city and this dude kept checking me out from across the dance floor and finally he approached me and was like, "Is your name Ava?" I kind of figured it out right away where he knew me from, considering I use this name for this type of stuff only. Anyway, I was pretty smashed and we started hanging out, and long story short we ended up going back to his mom's place at like 4 AM. It was a solid 35-minute Uber away from where we were outside of the city, and I remember telling him we should have just went to my place, because it was only 10 minutes away and I live alone. Although I didn't realize we were going to his mom's house yet. Anyway, we end up at his mom's house and we stayed up until like 7 AM chain smoking menthols. And talking about video games. Eventually we made out and tried swapping head, but we were both too tired and drunk by that point, so I just told him I wanted to sleep. We went to bed, only for us to be woken up like 1.5 hours later to him receiving a phone call that he's late for work. At this point I felt like trash and needed more sleep, so I just rolled over and passed back out. 2 hours later I woke up and was like, oh frick, I'm in some random house and I don't know where I am. And I heard someone walking around outside his room. Well, turns out it was his mom. And I had to make the walk of shame past her and outside to my Uber hungover as frick with my makeup all fricked up. 3 out of 10 would maybe do again. I post peen and stuff here on Reddit, Peen Hub, and I have an OnlyFans. When I was first getting started I received a message here on Reddit that asked if I want to insert school here. It was freaky, but I responded with the generic why. And he said that he was looking at me in the cafeteria like right then. I was a little scared, but told him to come up and introduce himself so this wasn't so awkward. He did, and now we're actually good friends. I've met his girlfriend and we eat lunch together often. Never posted on Reddit, posted on another website. However, I was recognized at a convention by a guy working at a shop. Bit weird, but he gave me free KitKats LOL. There was a TV show similar to Last Week Tonight, ridiculing the fetish community. I mentioned a feature of that episode to another guy I knew. Turned out he was the one whose content was featured and we shared a good laugh. I then stepped on his balls and he liked it. By approached, do you mean in real life or in the DMS? There's gonna be a lot of people looking at profiles in this thread. I had an awkward situation wherein my fan was my ex-husband who creepily let me know he wasn't pleased with the content I was posting. I hadn't changed Reddit accounts after we divorced, because I figured we were all adults who had better things to do than Reddit stalk each other, and I didn't particularly care who saw what I posted, so I just kept on doing what I do. Eventually my account came to feature not safe for work photos of my new husband, because we were posting in fetish communities. I really didn't think anything of it. Everyone is welcome to see my husband's ween, or so I thought. Shortly after posting the first photo of my husband's wang, my ex picked up our kid for their visitation time and he looked pissed. I was met with the most hateful scowl when I said hello. You know you're still using the same Reddit account you had when we were together, right? He practically snarled at me. I brushed it off with a laugh and said I didn't want to lose all of my useless karma, so I'd never bother to make a new one. Well, I just think it's weird of you. You know that I know what it is, and I'm going to keep checking it as long as you have it. You can't expect me to do anything different. I'm going to keep checking it every day. To say I was surprised would be an understatement. He looked so mad and seemed completely justified in what he was saying. Like it was the most normal thing in the world to be quietly stalking your ex-wife's Reddit for nudes, and even more normal to suddenly tell her about it when she posts another man's dong. He left with our kid right after, so I didn't have time to say much about it. What I did have time to do was delete every single post on that account save for the not safe for work ones of my husband, and just let it sit like that for a while. He looked like he was about to explode when he brought our kid back, but remained silent. When I outright deleted the account a few days later, I got an angry text saying, well, you didn't have to delete it. A few hours later, as far as I know, he still has my nudes saved on his phone. I'd imagine he still looks for my posts on the old subreddits I used to frequent. Joke's on him, though. I only post not safe for work s of my husband on a side account. I haven't been naked on Reddit in some time now. Not in person yet, but I do come across dudes on Tinder and OKC that have seen my content before and recognize me. This happened twice. The other way around, some dudes have messaged me on this account with a screenshot of my dating profile. This happened about 5 times. Some dudes feel like they deserve free nudes and content. Most dudes are hella cool about it and respect my boundaries. I appreciate that, but it doesn't make dating or building new friendships any easier. It takes a lot of time to build mutual trust. I also used to frequent FetLife, and I live in a tiny country with a tiny non-monogamous dating pool, so it's not strange at all. A few years back, I was going through a very tough time in life. One night I decided to post a few pics out of sheer loneliness. You couldn't see my face or anything that would indicate it was me. I just needed to feel good about myself again. I got some comments and some chats started up. I stopped posting pics, but kept chatting with this one guy. After a few weeks, it turns out that he lives in the county over from mine. We met up and that was that. We've been together for almost a year. Thanks Reddit. Not me, but still a spicy story. A friend of mine who started working a couple years back in a well-known company was advised that a middle management girl made tons of Pino movies back in the day. Not your average vintage soft kissing stuff, proper ass drilling. That was back when this will never make it back to your country rhetoric was thrown out, and yay, I wouldn't believe it myself, but all those videos are right there on the internet to this day, and it's 100% a LOL. Won't give you the name. It didn't go all that well for her, because she had a couple breakdowns due to it. She kinda wings it best she can, but it's quite taboo to mention it. Gonna regret the lack of a serious tag. Opposite, I ended up waiting at a bus stop with someone who at the time was a frequent and highly popular poster on a bunch of not safe for work trans subreddits. I'm also trans, although I was still closeted and totally pre-transition at the time. So I did what anyone would do. I caught my bus and minded my own business. I like how high up this is despite having no relevant answers. Recognized a Cam Hall cosplayer I would help at work. Didn't say anything. A few months later she was arrested for stabbing her boyfriend and letting him bleed out and die on their balcony. I've never been approached by a person, but I regularly get messages. Most start out with a simple and mostly uncreative compliment, wait for a response and then get straight to the point. Where are you from? Would you like to? I don't really know what's going on with people that message someone on Reddit, but I wouldn't meet up with someone just because they send a message. This happened long before Reddit was even around, but I remember the most popular girl in my school was everything you could want. Every dude wanted her and every girl wanted to be her type situation. We will call her Molly. She, of course, only dated older, mature guys, but I'll be damned if I didn't fap 1 or 7 off to that cleavage. Anyways, 2 years after high school I walk into a strip club for a birthday party, in a state across the damn country from where I graduated. Grab a seat and start to enjoy myself. 10 minutes later and guess who walks into the main stage? None other than Molly. She recognized me and that $20 lap dance was absolutely worth the money. She had a Tumblr for a while and then just stopped posting one day. As far as I know she doesn't have any social media, but a few friends have told me she's married with kids now. Admit it, you're just looking for boobs to look at with a tad more context. Not on Reddit, but once at the nude beach a few people recognized my dong from a Pornhub video. Then later on I beat my dong. Obligatory never posted nudes on Reddit, but most of my not safe for work pics and activity is on Twitter, but I also post here so it counts. I've been recognized 3 times at conventions, All 3 times at the same one. Actually, Blue 5 I made a tweet showing what I'd be wearing, otherwise I'd probably never be recognized. Never had any bad experiences. It was actually really flattering cause I'm not at all used to being recognized. Chatted with each person for like 15 minutes. Not even about lewd stuff, so it was pretty neat. Thanks for watching and subscribe for more r/AskReddit content. Be sure to check out our playlist, link in the description below.